Hi, everyone. This is Margaret Hirsch at Home with Hirsch's, and thank you for joining us in our wellness webinar tonight. Now, you know your health is your wealth, and it's no good being the richest person in the graveyard. And that's why we try and keep ourselves as healthy as possible. And as you get older, you realize that getting old is not for sissies. It's one of the most difficult things you're ever going to do, because the worst thing is you don't feel old. Your mind feels like, I still feels like I'm 25. I think I can do what I did when I was 25. You carry on. And sometimes your body lets you down. It just doesn't work as fast as you want it to. You can't do what you want to do. You get up with a creak and a groan, and you don't want to be there. You want to be fit and healthy and full of life right to the last minute. So that's what you work towards. We work towards being healthy. The other thing is that they've worked out that your brain and your gut are related. If your brain is fine, your gut's fine. If your gut is fine, your brain is fine. But if your gut isn't fine, your brain isn't fine. And if your brain isn't fine, your gut isn't fine. So we need to get that connection right and make sure that we only put good things into our mouths. And I was talking about conscious eating. I'm conscious of everything I put in my mouth now. I don't put anything in if it's remotely bad, because I just know that, what am I doing this for, you know? And even if I have something like a glass of wine, which I do occasionally, I know that the next day I've got to alkalize, I've got to alkaline my system so that I can get rid of all the bad toxins that I've built up with that glass of wine. So you become very conscious of what you put into your mouth when you do Wild Fit. But we're not really talking about that today. We're talking about your leaky gut. Now, Kerry's our expert here, and we welcome Kerry from all the way from New Zealand. We're at 6 o'clock in the morning, so thank you for getting up so early for us. You look a hell of a lot better than I do at 6 o'clock in the morning. I want to tell you something, but anyway. And just to say, Kerry, and you sort of mentioned leaky gut. You mentioned all the poop leaking into your body and going around and not knowing where to go. What is leaky gut syndrome?
So leaky gut syndrome is actually quite a confusing subject, which is why I thought I'm going to simplify it, because it's really helpful when we know what is happening with our gut, and our gut is always trying to communicate with us. But because our life is so busy, we just ignore it. So there are actually 3 different types of leaky gut syndrome. And the first type is really when we feel discomfort and bloating in our stomach. And a lot of natural practitioners describe leaky gut as an imbalance of bacteria in your gut. We've got good bacteria and bad bacteria. We've all got those bacteria. We need them in our gut. But when we've got too many bad bacteria, and there's some parasites and there's different viruses, so different pathogens are feeding off the processed foods in our gut, what often happens then is tiny little holes form in the lining of your gut. And with those little holes, whatever is in your gut leaks into your bloodstream and goes all over your body. Wow. And so things that should stay in your gut often don't stay in your gut. And that's what causes a lot of chronic illnesses, actually, come from leaky gut syndrome. But the medical leaky gut syndrome is very, very serious, and you land up in hospital. And that's where you get sepsis, you get high fevers. You really know that, you know, the contents of your gut has leaked out. And sometimes that can be caused, people go for regular colonoscopies. They go and get checked out, but whilst they're under anesthetic, sometimes there's little tears that happen when, you know, once they're doing the procedure. And if there's a little tear or a little hole made in your gut, it can cause terrible leaky gut syndrome where you have to be hospitalized. And often even diverticulitis, you have to be hospitalized. It's a really, really bad form of leaky gut syndrome. The third, so the one is just the bacteria leaking out. The other one is when there is the lining is perforated and the contents are leaking out into your bloodstream. But the third type is very, very common. Most people walk around with leaky guts. They don't even know that they've got it. I would say probably about 80% of people have it. And this is when our food is not digested properly in our guts and it starts to rot. It decomposes in our gut and it ferments. And it causes all of this wind and bloating and discomfort. And when that happens, it is a form of leaky gut. But what happens is we've got ammonia gas that leaks out through the gut into the bloodstream and all over. So it's not actually contents of your gut, but it's the gas that leaks out and causes crazy chaos with your liver. So if the food is not digesting properly, your liver really has a huge time in detoxing. And the liver is responsible for over 700 different functions in the body. So we don't want to upset the liver. We really don't want to upset the liver. But most people are also walking around with fatty liver disease nowadays, but they call it non-alcoholic fatty liver disease because it's not caused from alcohol. You know, fatty liver disease back 30, 40 years was only caused from alcohol. Now, because the food is fermenting in our body, the food is rotting in our body, we're getting liver issues, lots of different liver issues, and the liver's not functioning correctly. I had a lady the other day, she phoned me up. She said, my liver test came back from the doctor. I've got fatty liver disease. My enzymes are all over the place. It's just, I really need to do something. And he told me to stop drinking. She says, I don't touch alcohol. I haven't touched alcohol in years, like 20 years, I haven't had alcohol, but he told me to stop drinking. So that is a classic sign that you've got leaky gut syndrome happening, that you've got food fermenting in your body and it's not being digested properly. So that happens when we are not consciously eating. So when we consciously eat, we feel into our body. We feel into what does our body need? What do we need to do as far as the first form of digestion is in your mouth? So are you consciously chewing your food? Because I don't know about you, but some people, including myself, I just swallow. And it's because we're so busy. Life is so busy. So when we're so busy, we eat on the run. We absolutely eat on the run. And when we eat on the run and we put something quick into our mouth, we chew and swallow. The other day, I was having a piece of dry wors. Now, for those people that don't know, it is very similar to, it's a dried sausage, very South African, very South African. So I was having a piece of dry wors, but I was sharing it with my dog, because obviously the dog loves the dry wors as well. And I could see the dog took two chews and it was gone. It was gone. I looked at him and I said to him, I'm going to chew this properly for me. So you've got to wait now for your next piece. I'm chewing this. Do you know that I had to chew just that tiny piece of dry wors? I chewed it 50 times before it was actually like a mush to be easily digested into my stomach. If I don't do that, what it can happen, what can it cause, is that the acidity levels in our stomach become really low if we do not allow our food to be chewed properly. Because we want a high acidity in the stomach, we want low acidity in the body, we want high acidity in the stomach. So we need the hydrochloric acid in the stomach to be high, and this is conscious chewing. If we consciously chew, the saliva actually breaks down the food. So the saliva breaks down the food, and then your stomach actually has an easy job. If you don't consciously chew, your stomach actually has a really difficult job breaking down the foods. If the stomach doesn't break down the foods properly, goes into the small intestine, large intestine, and it rots. So that's where the issue actually starts with chewing your food. It starts from chewing your food, and it doesn't make its way down correctly.
Now, sometimes you're chewing and you swallow, and then you get like what they call an acid reflux. Now, where is that acid? Is that acid right or wrong, or should you ignore it? Or
Thank you for asking that question, because it's once again, it's a sign that your body is telling you. When you get the acid reflux, it's actually you don't have enough hydrochloric acid in your stomach. That's a sign to say you need more acidity in the stomach to break everything down, because it's not being broken down and it's coming up. It's coming up. And so we need to break the food down with a high hydrochloric acid. Now, one way that you can increase your hydrochloric acid in the stomach, as I mentioned, is you chew your food. But the second way, if you already know that you've got acid reflux, heartburn, any of those symptoms, celery juice. Celery juice, pure celery juice actually increases your hydrochloric acid in the stomach. It allows your body to break down the food easier. So, so yes, we need to put, and celery juice on an empty stomach. And it's not celery that's been blended. It's the juice, because it's the essence of what's in that plant that helps the hydrochloric acid in our stomach, so that we can actually break it down properly. Yeah.
Wow, that's incredible. Now, but bloating is always a problem. All old ladies always, oh, I'm so bloated. I always say, you never hear an old man saying, I'm so bloated. I think they just blast off. But ladies, oh, I'm so bloated. Oh my God, I'm so bloated. What can you do to stop the bloating?
So the bloating is a sign that the food is fermenting. Now, a lot of people that I see, they say to me, oh, I'm eating fruit. And so when I go out and I have my meal, I'm choosing fruit salad because it's the healthiest choice. Well, fruit should be empty. It should be eaten on an empty stomach. Fruit should be, because it digests really quickly. Fruit digests really, really quickly. But there are some people that actually have a whole meal, including meat or beans or any of those high proteins that are a little bit tougher to digest. And then they have fruit on top of that. And what happens is the fruit's trying to digest quickly, but your other food is taking a long time to digest. And so the fruit ferments. It doesn't actually be absorbed quickly. So to have fruit on an empty stomach is going to help you digest and not get wind and bloating. And also to have veggies on an empty stomach before you put in those other proteins that are really harder for your body to digest. So it really is, first thing in the morning, we should be putting fruits and veggies in our system so that it's easeful and digesting. But the minute there is grains, breads, pastas, any of those foods, the food is going to slow down. Your digestion is going to slow down. And so processed foods can often start the bloating and the wind that we often feel. And a lot of people go after they've eaten some pasta. It's like, oh, I can't move. I've got all this pasta in my tummy. But they still feel hungry. They still feel hungry. And it's because there's not enough nutrients. Your body still wants more nutrients. You haven't put enough nutrients in, but you've put a lot of food in. You've put a lot of food. So that's when it's actually just gonna ferment in your gut, causing the bloating.
Now, I was amazed to see that here, and I'm in Fort Lauderdale in America, that in all the shopping centers, they have a place where you can get a vitamin B12 injection. In fact, they have injections for everything there, including make yourself beautiful, but then they put you on a drip, and that was a bit too much for me. But I went for a vitamin B12 injection because I'm vegan and I don't have a lot of vitamin B12. And I must say, it did rev me up like crazy. I mean, I couldn't sleep that night. It was the whole night, but then it was fine after that. What do you think about getting a vitamin B12 injection to get your body right and to get your liver right? Because they said this for your liver, this is the best thing ever. But a friend of mine said, if you eat your food, it takes what it wants out and spits the rest out. But if you inject it in, your body has to deal with that stuff going in straight away.
Often you hear people going, you know, they have a vitamin B injection and they've got the energy. And there's a huge amount going into the system all at once. And that's why a lot of people that do have that drip, it's a little bit slower. So we've got a lot of people here, they have vitamin C infusions and they have all their vitamin infusions through a drip. And it is a little bit slower, so it does help the body absorb what it needs to absorb. Whereas if you get a big boost like that, often, there's a lot that the body needs to process. Now, your liver also holds onto vitamin Bs for about 6 months.
Oh, wow.
Yes. So you don't need to do that as regular. Or a lot of people that have been eating meat and then turn vegan, they go, oh my goodness, I need to put the bees in. But know that your body still has a long time for you to transition and to absorb the foods that you need to, and allow your body to go, okay, I need those vitamin Bs from my leafy greens, from all my green vegetables are high in vitamin Bs as well. So if I increase my leafy greens, because Margaret, as you know, a lot of vegans, they eat the breads, they eat the pastas. So they don't always eat the food that is high in vitamins and nutrients. And that's the transition period. I often say to people that want to go that route is you need to research recipes, do a lot of finding out what are the foods that are going to give me loads of vitamins, loads of nutrients, so that I don't actually need to go to the junk foods, the processed foods, the dead foods. If
No.
I stick with the living foods, my body's going to absorb all the nutrients. I'm going to get all my energy. I'm going to fuel my body. I'm going to have sustained energy throughout the day, and my body will be able to digest it correctly. So it's really much better to get everything from your foods.
So things like broccoli and cauliflower that we've steamed them, I've microwaved them, and I started baking them in the oven recently, and they really come out nice. But do you kill the nutrients by cooking them in the oven like that? I mean, I love Brussels sprouts now. In America, it's a delicacy, and you have it as a starter. And they just put Brussels sprouts, and they put just the seasoning on top, and they grill them so they come out crispy and they taste divine. But after I cooked them and I grilled them, I thought, geez, I hope there's some nutrition left in this poor Brussels sprout, because it really looks as if it's done to death.
So Brussels sprouts and asparagus are amazing as a liver cleanse.
Okay.
So both of those, Brussels sprouts and asparagus, they clean the liver out. So those foods we should be eating all the time, absolutely all the time. Now, the best foods is the best way to eat them is raw. So raw, it definitely has, a lot of people can't handle. Yeah, exactly. A lot of people can't handle the raw either. And that's because of what has happened in their guts previously, because we should be able to eat a lot of the raw fruits and veggies with ease. If you're not eating them with ease, it's also a little bit of a telltale sign that there's healing that needs to happen. Now, I find that the quicker or the less amount of time that you cook something. So if you quickly just pan fry something, cooking in coconut oil is probably the best, because at a high temperature, the coconut oil doesn't lose the nutrients. The next best one to cook with is olive oil. Please don't cook with canola oil. That is not a good oil at all to cook with. So you want your coconut oils and your olive oils. But the longer you cook it for, the less nutritional value it has. So, I remember my mom telling me stories of her being in boarding school, and they used to boil and boil and boil the veggies, and it tastes like nothing. It's because everything was in the water, that you boiled all the nutrients out, and they threw the water away and served these vegetables that were just absolutely soft and soggy and got nothing in them. If there's still a little crunch to your veggie after you've cooked it, it's good. It's absolutely awesome. So I find that's a good monitoring tool for me. If I'm grilling, air frying is also nice, because you don't need it on a high heat for a long time. You just need it in there for a short amount of time. But air frying and grilling and just a quick pan fry still allows you to have some crunch, which means there's more nutrients going into your body. Yeah.
Now, if you think you've got leaky gut syndrome, what do you do to combat it? Because, I mean, that's quite a scary thought, to think that all this poop is going into your insides. I mean, you really don't want it there, do you?
Yeah, it's amazing. Yeah, it's amazing, because it's really, it's not about the feces that are going in, but it's about like E. coli. E. coli bacteria. I find it often in people all over their bodies. And so what I want to just mention first is some symptoms of leaky gut syndrome, because people go, well, I've heard about leaky gut syndrome, but I don't know if I've got leaky gut syndrome. And so you will know if you have leaky gut syndrome, if you suffer from eczema, psoriasis, any skin issues, any skin rashes, anything on the skin, because the body is trying to get rid of it without it coming out in the toilet, and it's dumping it on the skin. So those bacteria are actually ending up on the skin, or whatever your body is trying to deal with ends up on the skin. So any skin issues, you have to heal the gut, Any issues like arthritis, rheumatoid arthritis, gout, any acidity issues in your body, any inflammation in the body, so any joint pain, that's a sign of leaky gut syndrome. Because once again, it's thrown your whole acidity out. So your pH balance in your body is totally being thrown out. And that's because there's probably a lot of pathogens that are in your bloodstream going around your body, or the ammonia gas that is leaked out, that is filtering around your body, that shouldn't be there. So any of those symptoms as well, we need to look out for. Alzheimer's and dementia is leaky gut syndrome. So anything to do with the brain, any brain fog, any loss of short-term memory. I get a lot of people still coming to me and they're going, oh, I forgot where I put my keys this morning. I forgot where I did this. Go to the gut, heal the gut. If we heal the gut, that memory comes back. It comes back. It's so exciting that people come and they go, oh, my brain fog's disappeared. I didn't know I had brain fog until I had no brain fog. Then I realized with no brain fog how clear everything was. I'm more creative, I'm more innovative. It's so awesome. Another sign of leaky gut syndrome is an imbalance in your thyroid. So often Hashimoto thyroidism, any thyroid issues, heal the gut, heal the liver. The liver has a big part to play in the thyroid as well, because the liver converts the hormones that the thyroid produces. So we need to go back to the gut and actually heal the gut. So a lot of things happen, and we think, you know, if we've got anything like a diverticulitis, IBS, Crohn's, celiac, so any of the gut stuff, it's also a sign that we need to do some healing there. We really do need to do some healing. So, what
do you do to heal it? We go to, yeah.
Yes. So the first thing is we need to stop feeding what is causing that lining and the irritants around the gut. So for women, often what causes it is pregnancy and menopause. So we have to watch out during pregnancy and menopause. It's the most important time for us to be eating healthy. It's the most important time because we're putting extra strain on all those digestive organs by our body moving and stretching totally out of place. The other thing is chemical medications and drugs, antibiotics that are basically eaten on you know,
an empty stomach.
Yeah, empty stomach. That's exactly it. With
if you have antibiotics on empty stomach, you can almost feel them eating your stomach, the hole in your stomach.
And that's exactly what happens, because it gets rid of the hydrochloric acid in the stomach, and it goes straight through to the intestine and causes issues as well. So medication is a huge thing. Stress is a huge thing. Stress is a huge thing. So if we can reduce our stress in our lives, deep breathing, exercising, doing things that actually get the stress out of your body, because the minute you're stressed, what happens to that lining in the gut? You're holding it tightly. Everything is holding. It's as if you go into spasm. You get the colonitis. You get
a knot in my stomach. You have like a knot in your stomach. Yeah,
100%. And it's true. You do have a spasm in your colon. And so that is also a cause. So we need to allow the stomach to be restful and easeful. So no stressing. Make sure you eat with any medication. Make sure you are eating living food, because it's the processed food that has actually damaged the lining of our gut. So when we are born with a tiny, minute little hairs that line our whole lining of our gut. They're so tiny, they're like the size of bacteria. They are tiny, but they're these beautiful little hairs that protect the lining of our gut. We used to have those little hairs protecting the lining of our gut right until we died. So that was what our bodies used to be like. With the introduction of processed foods, we now destroy that lining. And that's why we get leaky gut syndrome. And so, you know, at my age now, in my 50s, I've probably got very little. I did have a good food in my upbringing. So I did eat a lot of healthy food in my upbringing, but those little hairs are probably almost destroyed. Nowadays, children are having those little hairs destroyed by the time they're teenagers.
Well, I see children with their bottles with Coke in it, which freaks me out. And then you just want, what on earth is going to be left of your stomach when you're finished with this? Because it's just hectic. But just getting back to the stress, I read such a beautiful thing yesterday, which really resonated with me. It said, worrying is rehearsing failure. And when you think about it, that's exactly what you do. When you're worrying, you're thinking what you don't want to happen, which is obviously why it ends up happening, because what you think about, you bring about. And if you think about, this is what I'm worried about, you're rehearsing at the failures. You're rehearsing this thing going wrong. So I think if you just, cut out those, and, we did the elastic band, you pull the elastic band if you have a negative thought, and it soon goes away. And that just works so well. So for those of you who are feeling like you're stressed out, it really does work, because now I don't stress about anything. It's amazing. It makes such a difference in your life and makes you feel so much better. So yeah, it's definitely the way to go. So now you're starting to eat properly, you're conscious of what you're eating the right things, but sometimes you still end up bloating. What's the next step?
Yeah, so that is once again the order of your food, and also eating too quickly. So that's where we come to conscious eating. That's really where we start being very aware of our body, our stomach, our gut talking to the brain. Because if the body and the gut speaks to the brain, we're going to get those messages before it even happens.
Yeah.
So if we can, before you even take that chocolate, go, if I eat this chocolate, what is my body going to feel like? And I do that. For instance, we went out for a dinner the other evening. It was to an Italian restaurant. And I'm looking at the menu and you see all those pastas. Immediately in my head, I'm going, what do I feel after I've eaten them? I hate the way my body feels. So I'm not choosing that. I chose the chicken and veggies. I chose the veggies that were on there. So it's your choice of the foods that you're making and trying to think about, what does the food do in my, how does it make me feel? How does the food make me feel? If I am feeling, this is really a good one to remember. If you're feeling heavy and full, you've eaten too much. If you feel light and satisfied, you put the right amount of food into you. So if after a meal you can feel light and satisfied, it's about tuning in and stop eating when you're full.
Yeah, I still carry on eating until the plate's gone, and it just really irritates me because I know I'm talking and I'm eating, and then the next thing, oh my God, I've eaten all this food. And everyone says to me, gee, I never thought you'd get through all that. Well, I didn't think I would either, but I was just eating and talking. So I think we have to just be conscious of that. You know, I mean, they say you must eat something as big as your fist, because that's the size of your stomach. Your stomach's the size of your fist. You eat that much. If you eat more than that, it's going to spill out all over the show, which you really don't want happening. So I think that's probably one of the best things that I try and do, just eat as much as my fist and hope for the best. But you know, you tend to get carried away, and they give you, especially here in America, the portions are huge, absolutely huge. Our friends, which we're going out for dinner with now, they buy one meal, they cut it in half, they have half each, and they still both take a doggy bag home, because that's how big the meals are here. They just give you so much. You ask for a Coke, you get something this, I don't drink Coke, but the Cokes are like gigantic. I mean, you just think, how on earth do you ever get that into your stomach, let alone anything else? So I think, you know, that to make more money, they're giving you these big things which cost more, and it's just a whole money-making thing. So you've got to be really, really conscious of it. But it's very difficult, because I've been traveling now, as you know, and I went to several restaurants where I could literally eat nothing. But now what I do is I choose from the vegetables, you know. I said, I'll have the spinach, I'll have the butternut, and I choose from the vegetables, and I just have the vegetables, because otherwise, if you put all that other stuff into your body, I just know. I mean, I can get heartburn thinking about it. So I absolutely love bread, but the only bread I eat now is sourdough bread, because it's got the fermenting in it. But talk to us about fermenting foods. I mean, you know, we train in Korea, so they have kimchi with everything. Everything's got that stinky kimchi with it, you know, and pickles. I mean, I do love pickles, and I love olives and things like that. But what does that actually do when you put that, say, kimchi with that rotten cabbage? I mean, for want of a better word, sauerkraut, rotten cabbage. You've got to put it into your body to get all these little chuchos going in your stomach. Think
about if we go back to our ancestors that didn't have fridges and freezers. They really didn't have. The minute that the food turned bad, they didn't eat it. They didn't eat it. So it's actually a sign to us to say, if the food is fermented and bad, we actually shouldn't be putting it in, specifically if you've got leaky gut syndrome, specifically, because it's actually not going to heal. It's going to add to the fermenting. If you have a nice clean gut and everything is fine, perfect. Perfect. Have the fermented foods, because it's going to be easeful on the gut and it's going to be fine. But putting fermented foods in a fermented environment is actually just going to activate it even more. It's really going to activate it. It's not going to heal. It's not going to heal. So listen to your body. If you're putting fermented foods in and there is bloating or wind or discomfort, you stop eating that. You stop eating that. With anything that you're eating, if you're putting it in, we don't want to eat it. You talk about the stomach being the size of our fist. That's 100% correct. And when you think about it, our stomachs enlarge and then they go back. Now, our stomachs are amazing because they can enlarge quite substantially. And that's because,
my life trying to get it back to the size that it was.
And this is the thing, because our ancestors used to live in feast and famine. You know, so there used to be a lot of food and then they had to fast naturally, and a lot of food and then they had to fast. Now what's happening is we just got food. We got food. We got food. So
Yeah.
very few times do we actually allow our stomach to go back to its normal size, because we just keep eating, because the dead food that we're eating, the foods that's full of refined sugars and grains, they've got no nutrient value. They're not filling us. They're not filling us. So we eat a sandwich and we're still hungry. When you eat a hamburger, you can go for your second one, which is why the portions in America are so huge, is because people are still hungry after they've eaten something, because it's food that is full of actually refined sugars. And so those refined sugars don't fill us at all. Absolutely don't fill us.
Gosh, that's incredible. So now let's just talk about the things to eat. And we were saying about fasting. So I want to just go into a bit of intermittent fasting, because it definitely does work, and which I learned with the 3-day water fast, which we do over new moon. So yeah, but one of the chaps who worked with us in our 4As branch, he went from huge to like normal size in quite a short space of time. I said, what did you do? He said, intermittent fasting. It really worked for me. But is it really good to make your body fast? And how long should you do it for? I know there's set times. You say if you're a woman, it's 16 hours off and 8 hours that you can eat and things like that. What's the story with intermittent fasting?
So first of all, I love fasting all around. So fasting for me is just a brilliant, brilliant way to give our bodies a break, just to rest. And what I do is I just tell my body, I'm actually giving you time to heal. Because if our bodies are digesting all the time, your body can't focus on healing. So when you're fasting and your body's not digesting, it's a beautiful, beautiful time for your body to focus on healing. So a lot of times women do intermittent fasting, and they do intermittent fasting and they come to me and they're saying, I've been doing intermittent fasting for a year and I can't release any weight. My weight is still there. I'm not releasing any weight. And then intermittent fasting is done by a man and the weight just falls off. So I have to tell you, ladies, we are different. We are different. Our hormones are different. Our emotions are different. Our body is so different, absolutely so different. So please, 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 if you are going to do intermittent fasting, I recommend you do it when you've reached your ideal weight. Then it's brilliant for you to do intermittent fasting. Other than that, I would suggest that you do longer fasts less often. So you do a 3-day fast once a month, or even a 2-day fast once a month. And I'll tell you why. Is because when you start fasting, you get to hour 10 with no food. Hour 10, your body moves into autophagy. It's getting rid of all the old dead cells. So it's beautiful, beautiful. It gets rid of autophagy. Hour 20 is when your body starts strengthening the stem cells. So now your healing is really activated at hour 20. At hour 30, that's when you move into ketosis. So if you want to do fasting for weight release,
really, I don't even know what ketosis is.
It's your body actually burning the fat instead of the sugars.
Oh, okay.
So you move out of sugar burning mode into fat burning mode.
Okay.
So your body does.
Yeah, it's a long time to wait for the fat to start burning, though.
Exactly, 30 hours. 30 hours. So most people that do intermittent fasting, it's 16 hours. So they're never quite reaching that fat burning mode. They're never getting there. But if you do 48 hours, if you do even 36 hours, brilliant. You've reached some sort of fat burning mode. But the best thing to do is to actually start eating more living foods and cut out those refined sugars so that your body can actually digest what it is. Yeah.
Now we've got a question here. It says, can you get tested for leaky gut? Because now we all sort of thinking we've got it, but I always think I've got everything. If you talk to me about last, I scratched my hair. If you talk to me about eczema, I scratched my arm. So I always think I've got everything. But how do you get tested for leaky gut syndrome? How would you know if you had it?
Very difficult. It's very difficult. So people,
I don't want that colonoscopy, because they're putting that down your throat to bugger it up anyway. So you rather don't have.
That's why I'm not a big fan of anything invasive. I'm really not a big fan. I'm a big fan of feeling into your body. So, really, diverticulitis, a lot of people get, they do get diagnosed with that because it's quite a serious case, and a lot of people are hospitalized on a regular basis with diverticulitis, Crohn's disease, celiac. So all of those normally get diagnosed. So you can go for tests and the doctor will tell you you've got one of those stomach issues. But they often miss leaky gut syndrome when it turns into an autoimmune issue or chronic issue. So then they go, oh no, they're going to treat the symptoms, which is your eczema. And they treat the symptoms, but they don't treat the root cause. And the root cause is the leaky gut, and the eczema is the symptom. So, I would say, let's all just assume we've got leaky gut. Let's just assume we've got it, and protect your guts and treat your gut so well and treat your body well. Because at the end of the day, then you won't have any of the symptoms. You won't get autoimmune issues. You won't get chronic illnesses. If your gut is being looked after, you won't get the symptoms. So let's treat the root cause and allow those symptoms not to occur.
Yeah, so basically you've got to eat fruit and vegetables, which I do because I'm vegan. You eat meat though. You eat meat, chicken, and fish, which I don't. You drink milk. Do you have dairy at all? No.
I don't have any dairy. If I'm going to have very limited eggs, and I'll tell you now, if you know that you've got specific viruses in your body, I would avoid eggs because eggs feed viruses. So definitely I have very, very limited. And Margaret, when I eat my meats, I normally eat my veggies first, and then I eat my meat, because I know the veggies are going to digest first. So I eat very much so, allowing my body to digest what it needs to. And I feel into my body, and I feel what does my body need. And often the body wants one food at a time. It doesn't want a whole plate of a whole lot of different things. When you think about like your American meals that you have on that plate, they normally have everything. Yeah. Everything on that plate. And they're going, that's brilliant because you've got all the food groups in ones. But can you just imagine your little body for a minute? Just imagine all this mixture's coming in, and your stomach is going, I've got to break this down. And the liver's going, I've got to secrete this enzyme, spleen secreting, pancreas is secreting, gallbladder secreting. It's like, we've got to clean the body out. We've got to digest. You've got to actually simplify things. If you simplify things, the body goes, I recognize that. I can secrete that enzyme. I can break it down. I can absorb it. If we just slow down and simplify. And another thing you were talking about earlier about, finishing your plate, whatever and that's because subconsciously, I was told as a child, you do not leave the table before your plate is finished. So once again, going back to conscious eating, we've been programmed from a child, finish your food because there's starving children in Africa. Yeah. Finish your food because you don't leave the table. It's bad manners to leave the table with something on the plate. We've been programmed. Now we've got to just be aware and say, hang on a minute, I've got to listen to my body. If my body is full, if my stomach is full, I've got to stop eating. Yeah. I've got to stop eating because it's not serving anybody. It's actually detrimental to your health.
Now, Diane says on here, what about probiotics? Because, my daughter's great. Her kids get probiotics every morning, whether they need them or they don't. They get doled out with their vitamins, and that's how they do it. I've never taken probiotics because I don't, somebody told me it puts the hookahs back into your stomach. I don't want any hookahs in my stomach, so I never put them in. But what do you think about probiotics?
So probiotics, I feel as well, you can get it from your food if you're eating the right food. And I do feel like you need probiotics when you're having medication. So any medication, because the medication feeds the bad bacteria and kills the good bacteria. And we want that balance. So probiotics actually does feed the good bacteria. So we all have pathogens in us. We're never ever going to get away from that. But we want a balance of them. We want the good bacteria and we want the bad bacteria. So things that actually feed the bad bacteria is your refined sugars and your grains and your fermented foods and food that is fermenting in your gut and rotting in the gut. That the bad bacteria thrive on that, absolutely thrive. You will also notice a difference in your stools and in going to the toilet. If you've got more bad bacteria, you might have a lot of loose stools or even some diarrhea as well. And that's your body's way of trying to get rid of the bad bacteria. Good bacteria, the way to feed good bacteria in your gut is, believe it or not, mushrooms, brilliant for good bacteria. Feeds really, really good bacteria. And then a lot of your fruits actually feed, like your pawpaws and your wild blueberries and your kiwi fruits. A lot of the fruits actually feed the good bacteria. Now, when I have a pawpaw, so in a whole pawpaw, what I do is I make sure half of the pips that in the pawpaw, half of the seeds I leave behind and I eat it with the pawpaw. The seeds of the pawpaw get rid of the bad bacteria. They get rid of yeah.
Okay. So, and now one of my two things, the first question is, can you take vitamins while fasting? But the second thing is, can apple cider vinegar help leaky gut? Now, I absolutely hate apple cider vinegar. I've tried it so many times and I've never ever managed to get it down my throat. It's just ghastly. So start with the vitamins and then go into the apple cider vinegar.
Yeah. So yes, you can take vitamins when you're fasting, but a lot of the time, you know, I ask the question, why are you taking those vitamins? And do you know that your body specifically needs them? If your body responds when you take the vitamins and you feel a difference when you're taking them, good. Then it's working.
Just read them out. You look and your wheeze bright orange. You think, oh my God, what have I got? And you say, oh, it was that pull I took.
Exactly. I think one thing to go back to is our bodies are natural. So that it recognizes natural fruits really easy. And it recognizes the vitamins in the natural fruits and veggies very easy. Whereas when you're taking a vitamin, it's also being processed. It's being processed. So although you're putting it in, the body's going, what is this? What is this? What do I need to do with it? So the best way to get your vitamins is through your food. If you need a boost every now and again, because every now and again, our bodies do need a little bit of a boost because of our lifestyles, perfect. But don't use vitamins or supplements long-term. They're supplements. They're to supplement on a very short space of time. We should be able to get our eating right. And when our eating is right, then we know that we're actually getting the full vitamins in. So, so definitely don't do something for a long term. Don't have a lot of vitamins or minerals for long term unless you're feeling the difference. If you're feeling the difference, then your body really does need it. But for me, I would rather make a lifestyle change to know that there is things out there that are going to support me naturally and support my natural body. So I'm a big fan of putting living foods into the living body so that you live longer. So that's the way it works. I'm not a fan of apple cider vinegar at all because it's also fermented food. Vinegar is a fermented food. So if there is something that is going on in your system that is allowing your food to rot in your gut, I would not touch apple cider vinegar at all. I wouldn't. I would rather heal the gut first, and then you can experiment with vinegars.
Because the saying goes that the apple cider vinegar burns the fat, but I could never see that working because it just made me feel lousy. I mean, ugh, it was terrible. But and Carol says now when fasting, if you need vitamins because she wants vitamins because she has got food. Well, you know, Carol, the most amazing thing is I eat all the time. I work with food and I eat all the time. I write cookbooks as a hobby, so I'm always cooking and doing, especially here, I don't have a maid, so I do everything myself. And it's just incredible because I'm so used to eating that when I go on the 3-day water fast, I literally have to have my glass, you see, because I do it all the time now, my glass and my cup and everything in my hand all the time, because it's just a habit. It's a ridiculous habit. I didn't realize that I had such a bad habit that I could not go anywhere without eating something. I would take nuts with me. I was always taking something. And I eat all the time. But now with the water fast, I tend to take the water and I drink all the time, and it makes a huge, huge difference. And the answer to can you have tea, you can only have rooibos tea, which they don't, you can't get in America, which is very difficult for me. So I fly it in from South Africa because you can't even carry it in because they've got the sniffer dogs now. So looking for dagga that we were at the airport in Houston, and this lady, the dog went up to this chubby old lady and they snuffed her and they zipped her up and took her away. The police took her away. I thought, oh my God, I'm definitely not having my rooibos tea. So I fly it in and have it delivered by Amazon. So yeah, and she loves food and never fasted for 3 days. I had never either. I'm 73 now, and I'd never fasted for more than half a day. In fact, for more than a few hours. But I did the 3-day fast. I must be honest, the first time I found it difficult because I was just so used to eating. But the second time was a little bit easier, and I just did it for the third time, and it was a piece of cake. And my husband actually managed it better than me because I was still waiting. He went an extra day, Kerry. I never told you that he went an extra day. But you do feel so good.
Ellen, that's amazing.
You do feel so good that you don't feel like eating. And you actually have to stop yourself to say, because I thought, well, maybe I'll go on. I thought, no, I'm going to eat now. But he could go on an extra day because he just said he didn't feel like eating. He felt so good after that 3-day water fast. But I do drink a lot of water. Kerry said about 5 liters. I'd probably go about the same. And you just feel good because it just flushes your whole system out. But Kerry told me the most amazing thing, that one lady went on a 30-day water fast. For 30 days, she didn't have any food, and they still took 1.5 kilos of compacted poop out of her with a, what do you call it, colonic irrigation afterwards. So that's how much stuff is stuck in your stomach. So it just, when you understand that, you really need that flushing out, and you just need that continual flushing to flush all the rubbish out, and then you start fresh. And then you start with your alkagizer, which is your celery, cucumber, avo, and kale. And I must be honest, Kerry, I don't put the kale in. I'm not a lover of kale, but so I put it in when I'm feeling good. If I'm feeling a bit yucky, I don't put it in, but I have the rest. And then you just drink that, and you start breaking your fast. You can't just gobble anything out. You're going to break your fast slowly. And I do it over a couple of hours, and I start usually by about lunchtime, and I start breaking my fast with juices and stuff, and then have softer foods, and then go on only the next day to proper food. Yeah.
I was also going to say to Carol, you've got to prepare your body before you just dive into a 3-day fast. So don't just think, I've never done a fast before, I'm just diving in. You've got to prepare your body, because most people, when their bodies are prepared for 3-day fast, they have so much energy, they don't know what to do with it. I do all handyman jobs around the house when I'm fasting. It's like, what else can I do? What else can I do?
Well, you don't realize how much time it takes to buy the food, to schlep the food home, to put it in the cupboard, then to take it out and prepare it, then to cook it, then to eat it and clean up afterwards. I mean, I didn't use my dishwasher for 3 days. My dishwasher didn't know what hit me, because it's always, going. And you just have a lot of extra time in the day. So I write myself chores for my fasting. I'm going to do these chores, lousy things like I'm doing my filing, cleaning up my drawers, So the Sego says, can we add anything like lemon, cucumber, mint to the water? The only thing I add is ginger, because I love the taste of ginger, and I think ginger is very gut settling. Kerry, what do you add? Do you add anything to your water?
Yeah, absolutely. I love my water, so I'm easeful. But when I started fasting, definitely herbal teas, but herbal teas, not green tea, and not any of the teas, because there are some herbal teas that have got sugar in them as well, so we don't want that. So rooibos is the best one, but you can also have chamomile or peppermint, or just those natural herbal teas are absolutely fine. And a slice of lemon and some mint and some cucumber and some blueberries in the water is absolutely fine for it to infuse in the water, but then you don't eat those afterwards. So we don't want any food, but tasting water during the water fast, absolutely 100% fine. And like Margaret said, 5 liters minimal, because the body will, the tummy will grumble, and that's because it's readjusting to its normal size. What I find is what comforts the stomach when it does that grumbling is warm water or the herbal tea. So I will drink a herbal tea.
Put salt in it. It seems to go down faster and easier with salt in it.
Himalayan salt or Celtic salt, amazing in the water, not to make it salty, but to make it smooth. So if the water is smooth and you can drink it easy, it actually means it's got a lot more minerals in it, which is what our body needs when we're going into a fast as well. So the minerals are there. If you do not prepare properly for a fast, you can get all the detox symptoms. You can feel incredibly tired and lethargic. You can get headaches.
A headache. The first time I got a splitting headache, but I knew, because I once went to Rustenburg Hydro with my friend who was really overweight. I thought I was going to have a ball and she's going to suffer. Well, I suffered because I went into detox because of the wine and all the other stuff that I eat, the chocolate and that. And I got a headache from that. So the first time I did get a headache. The second time it wasn't as bad. It was like that dull one there. And the third time I was absolutely fine. But the good thing is you lose a lot of weight. The first time I lost 10 pounds. The second time I lost 8 pounds. This time I lost 5 pounds. So the knack is not to put it back on again, which I've put some of that on. But it's, if you're trying to just get over, because I had that where I couldn't drop. I just could not drop. And then I did the fast and I went down, and then I've stayed down now. So it's much better than it was. Yeah. I think that's
and it's amazing, because I just find when I'm fasting, I'm so in tune with my body. I'm really, that's like the best time to be conscious and aware of how does my body feel? How does my body feel? What does my body need? And if you need to rest, you rest. Because in the resting, your body's healing. Whereas I think in our busy days today, we go, we shove in what we want to shove in, and we keep going. And we don't actually stop to listen to the body and just tune in and go, what does my body need? What do I need to have the energy in order to get through the day? And often fasting is brilliant. I did a 36-hour fast yesterday just because I felt like my body needed it. And so it's, you know, I've been doing fasting for years now. And so it becomes easier as you're doing it.
But to me, the most amazing thing is when you look at food now, and I went out for lunch and they gave us white bread rolls. Now, I used to love the white bread rolls. I was the first one to slap the butter on and chomp it down. I looked at that white bread roll, I thought, indigestion, you know, because I could just feel the indigestion that I would get from that. So I left it, you know. So, and it was quite a difficult one because it was an American thing and they were giving everybody hot dogs. So obviously I can't eat the blooming Vienna sausage, can I? I couldn't eat the white roll. Thank God they had some baked beans there. So that's what I had for lunch, was baked beans.
And it's so crazy because when your body is so clean, you do get this enheartened memory of what the food does in your body. Yeah. So it's like you look at the roll and you go, oh my goodness, no, I don't want that feeling in my body. My body's not clean and healed. And so with the clean and healed, it's like, I don't want my body to feel like that. So it doesn't become it doesn't become a matter of you trying to resist the food or try not to. It actually becomes a matter of a choice. I'm choosing not to have that food because of the way it makes my body feel. It might not make somebody else's body feel like that, but the way it makes my body feel, that's because you're so clean and healed that your body is communicating.
Choosing food that will keep me healthy. I think that's the big thing, because, you know, if you eat something that is not healthy, you feel unhealthy afterwards. You don't feel great. Whereas if you keep saying, I'm going to eat food that keep me healthy, and like I can't drink the carbonated drinks, you know, I hate fizzy things. So for me, other people crave them. I don't want that fizzy thing because that makes me feel lousy straight away. So what do you feel about carbonated stuff? Have you got all this gas in your stomach? I always think, I don't want to put any more gas in, you know.
I'm 100% with you on that, Margaret, 100% with you. You know, some people say to me, can I do a water fast with sparkling water? It's the same thing. It's carbonated sparkling water, and the body actually doesn't want that. It wants to just get the still water in, the easeful water in, just to actually relax. So yeah, that anything with bubbles in it causes more bubbles in the system. And when you think about it, it is. You're putting some carbon dioxide in, whereas you should be putting lots of oxygen into your system. Your body wants oxygen. That's really what it wants. And so, you know, all those fizzy drinks are just not good for our bodies at all.
So now we've got it down to fruit first, and then vegetables, and if you eat protein like meat, some of you eat that, and then you just have water and flush it down, and you have the tea, and that's basically what you live on. So all the pastas, the breads, the grains like rice and stuff like that. I mean, the Chinese lived on rice for years. How come it didn't affect them?
It's quite incredible, because I've got a lot of Chinese in New Zealand, a lot of Chinese and Asian clients. I have a lot of Indians that also live on the rice, and it's just amazing. But when they get, their bodies can handle it for a number of years, and then all of a sudden the body goes no more. And you'll find a lot of them are type 2 diabetic. A lot of them are type 2 diabetic.
True, because a lot of our Indians are diabetic.
Yeah. And so it really is like your body is incredible. We can handle so much. We actually abuse our bodies so much by what we put in, but our bodies keep going and they keep going and they keep going. But one day the body's going to say enough. And that normally comes out in an illness, a chronic illness, or autoimmune illness, even cancers. Your body, it's a sign to say the body's going enough, treat me differently now, do something different. And that's sometimes when people have a wake-up call, but it's so much better to actually be aware before you get there. So try and prevent those things from happening. Yeah.
Now, Kamala says, is it okay to eat pawpaw in the evening? I suppose it is, so long as you haven't eaten a big meal first.
Yeah.
So you just, if
So-
that's what you're going to eat for supper, yes, you can, but you can't eat a big meal first, then eat the pawpaw, because that won't work.
Correct. So if you've just had veggies for dinner, then you can have a pawpaw in the evening.
Yeah.
So if you've just eaten veggies, because veggies also digest really quickly, but if you've had any grains or any meats, any type of proteins, they take, honestly, some grains take 36 hours to digest. 36 hours. So now you want to try and put fruit on top of that, but the grains hasn't even digested properly. So we really need to be aware that we're putting fruit on an empty stomach, so that you can absorb all the nutrients out of that fruit. Same with veggies. Veggies get absorbed really quickly if there's nothing else to disturb them. And you want maximum absorption of those nutrients. And so it's so much better to do it on an empty stomach to maximize the food.
Yeah, Gwen says wine is bad stuff because it's difficult to just have one glass. I know that feeling, but I used to drink a few glasses of wine, but now I really don't. And I promise you feel so much better for not drinking it. It is difficult when everybody else is, having wine and carrying on. It is difficult. But what I do is I fill the glass with ice and just put a little bit in and sip it all night. The ice melts and you end up sipping it. They think you're drinking glass after glass of wine. It's just, you had a tablespoon of wine in the glass and it does the trick. So yeah.
And can I also just say that there are different types of wine. So same thing, Margaret, if you're going to have a smaller quantity, you might as well get the best. You might as well spend extra money on it and get the best. There is a beautiful, beautiful farm or vineyard down in just, I think it's the Eastern Cape or even in the Western Cape. I went there so many years ago, but it's called the Reinecker, Johan Reinecker, and it's an organic wine estate. The wine there is so well processed. It's actually, he farms it so differently. He uses such different techniques that you can actually taste that wine is smooth and easy. It's actually easy. Whereas other wines, you've really got to force it down the first glass. Then by the second glass, you don't care.
Cheap one.
Yeah. Yeah. But honestly, if you choose an organic wine, I really, really would go for a better quality drink that you're going to put in your body, because that's also actually going to be better for you. I know on his wine estate, he doesn't use pesticides. He doesn't use, weed killers and things like that.
Make it
no chemicals. Yeah, he uses no chemicals on the farm. It's actually really, really amazing to see that you can go back to the old days of how it was done before all the chemicals came into our life.
Well, there you go. State is 8. So thank you so much for joining us. Thank you to all of you who joined us online and live on Facebook. I hope you learned something. I hope you're going to make sure that you are healthy. Don't eat all those awful things that are going to make you fat and feel uncomfortable and give you diabetes. And diabetes is really taking over, especially here in America where everybody's obese. But I'm just reading the stats for South Africa. South Africans are becoming more obese by the day. It's just incredible. So I think we've really got to look after our stomachs, look after our bodies. It's a temple of your soul, and you really want to put good stuff into it. So Kerry, thank you so much for your input. It's just amazing. If anybody wants to follow Kerry, she's got a new thing now. You can only follow it if you own a personal account. I have got a business account. So new private Vitality Goddess Facebook group. So I'm going to try and join it via my pseudonym, which is Maggie Smith, which is my maiden name, which is what I write under. So I'm going to try. Shane, will you join for me under Maggie Smith and see if that works? And then and what do you do on Vitality Goddess? Just tell us quickly. We've got 1 minute left.
Yeah, so Vitality Goddess is really looking at you more holistically. So I give information. So there's lots of free resources on that Facebook group, but it's really looking at you physically, emotionally, spiritually, and sexually for women. So so those are the 4 areas that I am really focusing on for women.
Fantastic. Well, thank you so much, Kerry. Thank you for all the good work you do. And Kerry does an amazing amount of good work to keep us all on track. And all of us, as soon as you go off the beaten track, you go back to Kerry. She puts you back on track like the little train, and you go back. And I've found an amazing difference in my life since I did WildFit. I have to say, it's been absolutely incredible. And my husband is now almost on WildFit, 99%. He's still not vegan, but I'm trying to get him that way. And yeah, it just makes you feel so incredibly different. And when we see our friends can't can't walk, can't stand up, or, sick and this type of thing. You just say, thank you, Lord, that I'm doing this because it's a wonderful, wonderful way to live and to make sure that you can enjoy your retirement, which is what I'm heading into shortly. So thank you so much, Kerry. Thank you for everyone for joining us, and we'll see you next month. We'll send you the link on your phone. Thank you so much. See you
Thanks,
next month.
everybody. Thank you. Thanks, Mark.